Among the ocean's armed hunters is an ancient beast with a venomous whip. The stingray. One daring angler is determined to battle this poisonous beast from shore, even if it means risking his life. September 6, 2009, Mossel Bay, South Africa. Jacques Duploy and his friend Peter Nortje are devoted rock and surf fishermen. The treacherous technique involves hooking a catch from shore and wrestling it in the rocky surf. For Jacques and Peter, the ultimate conquest is a giant stingray.
If you compare the stingray and its flattish body with, for instance, a shark with its more streamlined body, I say that the stingray might not be as fast, but it's got the power and the torque to make up for it.
Lethal ocean flyers, hunting stingrays skim the sandy floor, sucking up prey with stealthy speed. But don't let their grace fool you. These prehistoric shark cousins are some of the ocean's most powerful behemoths. One of the biggest is the short-tailed stingray.
It can get up to 7 feet across, 14 feet long, and weigh up to 800 pounds. And it's arguably one of the largest stingrays on the planet.
To avoid predators, the stingray burrows into sand. Yet when camouflage fails, it whips out an agonizing weapon, a venomous barb called a sting.
There are grooves running along the base of the sting, and in these grooves are venom glands. The sting normally is covered with skin, so you don't always see the serrations, but they're there. When it is attacked, the stingray will drive the sting into the attacker. The serrations open up the wound, the venom glands get ripped open, and poison goes into the wound.
Lashing out its whip-like tail, a stingray injects a protein-based toxin. The venom attacks the nerves, heart, and circulation. The venom itself isn't lethal, but an attacker pays a painful price.
The primary symptom is extreme pain. It also has consequences in that it can affect the heart rate, the blood pressure of the victim. That's short term, cause nausea, vomiting, and a lot of other symptoms.
To humans, the stingray's most dangerous weapon is the barb itself. The pointed tip can rip through organs and arteries, causing instant death. Now, on shore, Jacques and Peter set up their fishing gear.
Peter, I'm going down to cast. I'll see you now, eh?
Okay.
One of the biggest rock and surf challenges is the cast.
We have to make a cast of a minimum of 100 meters to allow us to get into the zone where fish is feeding.
The men set their rods and scan the water, manning their lines in the sweltering South African heat.
Now it's quiet now. I hope we get another pickup.
It's very quiet.
Then, one of the rods gets a tug. Jacques' reel peels out line in a blur. The angler jumps up and grabs hold.
Taking a lot of line, eh?
He can't see what he's hooked, but he can feel its power.
I was fighting it as hard as I could. I know I was stretching my tackle to the limit, and I really wanted to land this one.
The fish makes a sudden right turn.
Oh no, it's going to the reef now. It's going to the reef, Jock. We'll stop it before it's in the reef.
It's headed fast, straight towards a shoreline reef. It's a rock and surf angler's worst nightmare.
Once the fish have reached that reef, it will swim over it and dive down, and it will sever that front part of your line on the reefs.
Jacques stops the spooling line at 650 feet. He hopes a tight leash will keep the fish from swimming over the reef. But Jacques miscalculates.
Off, there's it.
Where is it? Where?
I see a tail.
I see it there, but it's nothing I can do.
It's a huge tail.
I can see it. I can see it's on the reef. It's already on the reef.
It's a massive short-tailed stingray. Jacques tries to reel the fish into deeper water.
But it's too heavy. I'm just gonna hold it there.
Then he gets a stroke of luck.
3 or 4 waves came through, and that force of the waves pushed the fish off the reef, and it was on our side of the reef again.
The angler keeps tension on the line, fighting pain in his arms.
Peter, it's getting closer to the side. Can you run down and grab the leader? It's coming, eh?
With a strong yank, Jacques gets the stingray close to him. Yet not close enough.
I didn't have a choice. I had to go down closer to the rocks to avoid the line or the leader being snagged in the rocks right in front of us. When I was running over that rocks, I had to be careful.
Jacques reaches the ray. Up close, it's far bigger than the fisherman expected.
Just be careful. It's huge.
It's coming, Doc. It's coming.
Be careful of the sting, eh?
Oh, it's huge.
Harder even than reeling it in, the real challenge is landing it. Jacques' friend Peter is ready to help wrangle the massive sea beast. But the stingray's too huge to lift. Their only hope is to catch the perfect wave.
Just wait for the right wave to pull it up. Just wait.
The longer Jacques and Peter wait, the more they're in danger.
Pull it.
The catch could strike back with a stabbing tail. With a giant short-tailed stingray corralled in a South African reef, Jacques Deploy and his friend Peter Norja try once again to wrestle the fish ashore. At all times, they keep the ray's lethal weapon in sight. Gathering their strength, riding the waves,
Here comes a big wave.
the men manage to get the stingray to shore.
Pull it.
Wow, it's huge, eh?
That's a beautiful fish, huh? Your first one.
It's my first one. At first we were in awe. We look at this fish because we didn't realize it was this big while fighting it. We knew it was a big fish, but we haven't seen one like this before, of this size.
Jacques wants to release the fish safely. He knows time is critical. The men take fast measurements. The giant ray stretches over 6.5 feet.
0.1 meter.
To calculate weight, the anglers submit measurements via text message to a fish database. Minutes later, the results are astonishing.
Look.
Yes, nice fish, Jacques. Well done. Well done.
The ray weighs 575.4 pounds. It's the largest stingray ever caught in South Africa. Working quickly, Jacques and Peter use the waves to nudge the mammoth beast back into the Indian Ocean. Short-tailed stingrays aren't officially endangered, but catch and release helps protect their populations for future encounters of man versus whopper, whip-tailed ray. Among weapon-wielding sea beasts, one extinct species looked truly petrifying. Helicoprion. This 300-million-year-old monster may have used its jaw like a tooth-covered lasso. Today, there's another jaw-dropping fish on the prowl. Combine shark, stingray, and swordfish into one astounding hunter, and it can only be the sawfish. This bizarre behemoth sports one of the ocean's strangest-looking weapons. But as sawfish fight for species survival, one extreme catch turns into a rescue mission. May 26, 2009, Fort Myers, Florida. Eddie Alsop, his wife Jessica, and friend Matt McCarran are fanatic amateur anglers. They usually catch local fish like tarpon, but today they're about to encounter an elusive ancient beast.
I've been here my entire life. I've known lots of people that go fishing, and there's only a handful of people that ever have seen a sawfish.
Meet a mega predator that dates back 50 million years. The biggest sawfish can stretch longer than 20 feet, weighing as much as a great white shark, over 2 tons. A bizarre blend of different species, sawfish are some of the most unique hunters on the planet.
Technically, they're actually rays, like stingrays, but they look more like sharks or a flattened shark, except that the snout has been drawn out into a saw shape, with teeth running up and down the side. Basically, it looks like a giant shark with a chainsaw attached to it.
Surprisingly, this striking chainsaw blade works as both a weapon and an antenna. The blade is called a rostrum, and these tooth-like structures are in large scales known as dermal denticles. The entire rostrum is actually covered with dermal denticles and sensors called electroreceptors. The receptors pick up signals from living prey. Once a sawfish senses prey, it goes in for the kill.
It can use the saw to go through a school of fish and slash it back and forth, and then it can go back and eat any of the fish that it may have killed or injured.
Sawfish get so big, they have few predators. But if attacked, their saw becomes a defensive dagger.
This is probably one of the reasons that the adults are not usually attacked by sharks. It can actually turn around and defend itself.
Yet these prehistoric survivors are highly threatened. Listed as critically endangered, in the last century, it's estimated the world's sawfish population has declined 95%.
The greatest danger to sawfish are actually fishing nets. Because of all the teeth, they accidentally swim into the net, get all tangled up, and it is incredibly difficult to get them out because they're big, powerful fish thrashing around. And usually the sawfish doesn't survive the encounter, at least historically, because it was just easier and safer for the fishermen to kill the sawfish.
In the US and Australia, it's illegal to catch or kill sawfish. To help populations rebound, biologists are in a race to understand sawfish behavior and migration. Fishermen are instructed to report any sawfish encounters and to cut the line free immediately, safely releasing these endangered predators at all costs. But as these Florida fishing buddies head out on the ocean, no one's expecting a sawfish encounter. Jessica and Matt have landed a few tarpon, and now a large hammerhead shark is circling.
Wow, look at that hammerhead.
Oh my God, it's huge!
Huge.
Awesome.
Fish on,
hey, fish on. Grab it, you're up, buddy.
Eddie gets a bite.
Hopefully it's that big hammerhead.
Yeah, it's a big fish.
He just went by.
Oh my gosh,
yep, I'm gonna need a belt.
He assumes it's the hammerhead, but as he straps on his fighting belt, he's shocked at what he feels.
We're gonna catch a big shark!
Compared to other fish, it was very strong. It was like fighting a Mack truck.
The fish is so forceful, it's stripping line faster than Eddie can stop it. The angler has no idea he's hooked a prehistoric predator that's about to wield its weapon.
Hopefully it's that big hammerhead.
After setting out for a typical day's fishing, Eddie and Jessica Alsop and fishing buddy Matt McCarran are battling an unknown Goliath.
I had to put both my thumbs on the reel to stop it from taking all my line off. If it would have run out of line, it would have snapped the line. We would have lost a fish.
Eddie's convinced it's bigger than any fish he's ever encountered. As soon as he gains a few feet of line, the powerful whopper yanks it back.
He's burning me again. Feels like a big old fish.
30 minutes into the fight, the beast changes strategy. It starts circling, getting closer to the boat.
Hey, he's coming around the boat. Don't get hooked up on that motor. Walk to the back, walk to the back.
Good job, babe, good job.
The angler races across decks, trying to keep the fish free from the anchor line and the motor.
Here he goes, he's going back to the front now.
Then, something strange happens.
It went down and laid on the bottom, and I really had a hard time getting him to move off the bottom. He was like stuck, like a big rock.
Eddie's baffled. What he thought was a hammerhead is now acting like a stingray.
No, the thing's just locked on the bottom right now. I can't get him to move.
Bring him up.
Eddie's anxious to see what he's hooked. With a massive heave, he reels the catch to the surface.
I've almost got him, he's coming up. Oh, we're gonna bring this thing up soon. Sawfish.
Get the out.
Oh my God! It's a big one!
It's one of the most fearsome weapons the anglers have ever seen.
This giant saw lifted out of the water, and it was huge. It was a monster. It was like a dinosaur pulling a dinosaur out of the water. And if it just swings around, and if it hits anything, it's gonna dig in very, very deep.
Holy oh my God!
We need to get this line.
They've hooked a Goliath sawfish.
This is the coolest thing ever. It's a massive one, too.
Comparing the catch to the boat, the team estimates the prehistoric beast stretches roughly 15 feet. Its serrated saw blade alone jutting 4 feet.
Holy
The saw itself is very impressive, and it's very dangerous. It's just like a shark's tooth sticking out sideways.
oh my gosh! He is amazing!
Oh my God.
The anglers know they must release the sawfish swiftly and safely without landing it.
Thing back in the water.
But to do it, they have to tangle with its weapon.
I touched him, Matt. You want to actually pick
Here's these pliers, Jess. Hand him the pliers.
Matt grabs a pair of pliers and gets as close to the sawfish as he dares.
Cut that, you don't use the side thing.
Jessica and Eddie watch Matt's every move.
I didn't want nobody to get hurt, so it was very, very scary.
Matt targets the fishing line at the base of the saw blade. With a fast flick, he severs the line.
Good release. This guy's gonna go live another 100 years.
Oh my God!
I don't even know.
The sawfish swims free.
Oh my God! Woo!
Holy cow.
Oh my God!
The coolest thing about catching a sawfish is to let it go and watch it swim away. That is the coolest thing.
For the three anglers, battling the prehistoric predator was unforgettable. Few people on Earth have ever seen a sawfish or its phenomenal weapon in the wild. Today, the remarkable rare encounter serves as a reminder of the ultimate challenge of man versus weapon-wielding fish. Human development, climate change, overfishing, and pollution threaten these amazingly adapted alpha hunters.
So the key to saving these remarkably designed fish is doing research to figure out what the problems are, what's impacting them, driving their numbers down, and then saving their habitat so they have a place to live, and then trying to put into play some type of regulations to curb overfishing so that we're not over-harvesting them.
Only through continued research, habitat conservation, and sustainable fishing can we save some of evolution's most incredible killer adaptations and the water's most amazing predators. It's Hooked, Deadly Weapons. Is the right conductor. Salt. By controlling the levels of salt coursing through their muscles, electric eels work like living batteries. The bigger the beast, the more lethal the charge. The largest specimens can generate as much as 650 volts. Wielding their weapon like a taser, electric eels stun fish, amphibians, even birds, and small mammals. Once they've stunned their prey, they swallow it whole. And even more remarkable is what they can do to predators.
They can deliver shocks for an hour or more if they need to, so even if a crocodile or a large catfish or something else is trying to attack it and thinks it can wait it out, that's not going to work. The electric eel can defend itself for long periods of time.
Electric eels never deliberately attack people, yet accidental contact can kill.
The biggest danger from an electric eel is getting into the water, getting zapped, falling unconscious, and then drowning. There's a lot of drowning deaths in the Amazon are blamed on electric eels.
For Anthony and his co-worker Randy Kawachi, the thrill of the catch outweighs any danger. The men head towards a nearby tributary, a known electric eel habitat. Electric eels are notoriously difficult to detect. These ambush predators instinctively hide under river vegetation.
Aquí está buenas, aquí está buen. Acá vamos.
The team locates their target spot. But to position themselves, they have to hack their way with a machete. The anglers use two strategies. They lower the bait under dense plants, and they agitate the surface to attract attention. But hours go by with no bite. Anthony decides to change location, moving deeper into the tributary. To get there, the men must hike into the jungle. At a secluded stream, Anthony and Randy bait and tickle the surface with their fishing poles.
Randy, no hay nada por ahí. Nada todavía.
In a sudden rush, a fish bursts out of the leaves and grabs onto Anthony's hook.
Gigante, peje eléctrico.
It's a giant electric eel.
Tiene 2 metros, Randy. Randy, venga. Come on.
The electric eel has an extraordinary fighting strategy.
The other fish swim away with the hook in their mouth going away from you. This was corkscrewing away with his head here pulling out, and it was just very strong.
Many fish can undulate their bodies, but this Amazon giant can actually contort itself like a rope.
When it found some trees that were still in the water, it would wrap around the trees and use that as leverage to keep pulling away. It felt literally like you're tugging with another rope.
With so much dense vegetation, the line could easily sever or tangle. Anthony has to reel in the catch as fast as possible. Swimming fast, the eel changes direction. Anthony struggles to keep the writhing fish hooked and follow it on the muddy ground. To ward off an electric charge, the angler wears protective rubber waders. But in the slippery mud, he must be careful. He's only 5 feet from the agitated eel. As the fight continues, if Anthony falls, he could get zapped by 600 volts.
Just the sheer force of it pulling me into the small channel. I was about to fall in with the eel.
Struggling against the fish's corkscrew pull, the fisherman manages to secure better leverage on drier land. Anthony uses all of his energy to reel the beast up and out of the water. On the bank at last, it's one of the largest electric eels Anthony's ever seen. The whopper knifefish measures 6 feet, 3 inches long, weighing over 30 pounds. Anthony wants to release the catch back into the main river, but it's a daunting challenge. Any touch could trigger an electric shock. A protective bag must cover the fish at all times. As a further precaution, the men hang the eel from a stick. Watching the enormous eel slide back into its Amazon lair, Anthony's thrilled.
It was probably one of the most sensational fights I've ever had.
In a fearful legacy of armed fish, one of the most ancient is a 300-million-year-old shark, the Stethocyanthus. This spiked fin may have been a terrifying ramming and thrashing device. Today, another fearsome shark is the ocean's ultimate kickboxer, the thresher. Its deadly weapon? Blunt trauma.
Come on, Steve.
But one tournament team is determined to battle a thresher shark in the flesh in an extreme showdown of man versus sea beast. September 9th, 2006, Portland, Maine. Steve York joins his friends Mike and Bob Soucy for the two-day Casco Bay Shark Tournament. On the tournament's first day, Mike and Bob spotted a huge thresher shark in the waters. Now, with less than a day remaining in the competition, they're back out on a mission.
So it's pretty cool. It's actually quite amazing to target a shark and then go out and actually find. It was pretty amazing because the thresher sharks are very rare up here.
Massive and deadly, the thresher shark can grow as long as 20 feet, weighing up to 750 pounds. But the thresher's most remarkable feature is a tail as long as its entire body.
A thresher shark looks like a typical shark that someone came and pinched the tail and then pulled it out.
A thresher shark's tail is powered by muscle and flexible cartilage. Against both predator and prey, it's an assault weapon as strong as a club.
They can crack the tail to try to stun or kill the prey, at which point they can come back and eat the prey with ease.
Oh, he's pissed.
For anglers, thresher tails can make these powerful sharks impossible to catch.
If you don't keep constant pressure and keep that line tight, he can get his tail around the line and break you off that way with the power of that tail.
Whoa. Oh my God.
The Casco Shark Tournament team is determined. On board, Mike Soucy throws ripe chum into the water. Then there's a tug.
Come on, Steve, let's go. Let's get the lines in. Come on, let's go.
The team's smallest fishing rod springs to life.
All right, come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. Get Steve, on, you're Steve. Up. Get the belt on. Get the belt on.
Steve grabs the rod on his fight belt. Immediately, the angler fears he's in trouble. The gear is no match for the beast.
I was not prepared for how much line they took and how powerful. Using the rod that we had for that shark was kind of small for shark fishing, definitely for a shark that size.
Steve can only guess what kind of shark he's hooked. Blue sharks are the most common off the Maine coast. Yet the catch isn't behaving like a typical deep diving blue. It takes off in a straight run.
Reel, Steve, reel, reel!
Then, 300 yards from the boat, a sudden splash reveals just how big the beast is.
Look at that fish!
The water twice. With less than 9 hours left in the tournament, the team thinks they may have hooked the winning shark. But now, the Titanic thresher is headed directly towards them.
Coming right at the boat, Bobby. Let me back down.
The shark came right at the boat, started to go down a little bit, and then slammed the side of the boat with his tail, and just a loud whack, and then it went under the boat. And I'll never forget Mikey's expression.
That was a close one. I think we need a bigger boat.
Two and a half hours into the fight, there's a problem. The bait is sliding up the line.
Bait on the line, bait on the line. Steve, we gotta get the bait off that line. All right.
Bobbing at the surface, it's attracting other sharks. If a hungry shark bites through the line, the catch is lost.
Brian.
The team needs to cut the bait loose with a knife. One wrong move, and they'll lose the giant thresher and the tournament. With only 5.5 hours left in Maine's Casco Shark Tournament, Steve York and his two-member team have a giant thresher hooked. It could win the contest. But now, as other sharks move in, the anglers have to cut their bait loose without severing the line.
When we finally got him close enough, Mike was able to reach onto the fish and actually cut the fish away from the line, very, very gingerly, of course.
Reel, reel!
The battle's far from over. Incredibly, Steve fights the shark for 2.5 more hours.
Keep it going, come on.
It's grueling, but the fisherman refuses to give up.
Come on, Steve, reel.
Come on, keep it going.
At last, the thresher shark begins to tire. Steve manages to get the monster fish near the boat. He can't believe his eyes.
I'd never seen one until that day, so it really gets your attention when you see it coming out of the water so big.
Look out, get the gap.
It's far too big to bring on board. The team must tie the beast to the side. As they scramble to lasso it, the thresher unleashes its weapon.
It's just slamming the side of the boat with its tail.
With less than 3 hours to the tournament weigh-in, the anglers manage to tie a second line. At the weigh-in, the team's hunch was right. It's the Casco tournament's winning shark. The thresher measures 17 feet long, weighing a whopping 628 pounds. A Maine state record.
When we get to the scales and found out how much it really weighed, you could have knocked me over with a feather. I just wasn't prepared for that. It was great.
A biologist on site takes measurements and collects organ samples, gathering valuable data to help fisheries study thresher populations. Heavily regulated tournament catches are few and far between. The real threat to sharks worldwide is a practice known as finning.
You catch a shark, you cut off the fins, the shark may be dead or alive, it doesn't always matter. And then you keep the fins, and they command a very high price in certain markets for shark fin soup. The rest of the shark is usually not very valuable, relatively speaking, and is usually just dumped right back overboard as garbage.
Efforts to stop finning are helping preserve the thresher and other shark species, protecting some of the planet's most amazing